Hello! In this video, I will show you how to use Gmail as a relay host in Postfix, or in another word, as a smart host. If you ask, what is a smart host? Very basically, when an email server have an email to send, it don't recognize the destination domain because that domain is not configured on it, or it doesn't have a route to this domain. It will send that email to its smart host if one is defined. And in this case, after the following configuration, it will be the Gmail server. This video can also help you if you want to configure another smart host with authentication. Example, if you have an Exchange server in your network or another SMTP server. You can base your configuration from this video and adjust it to your environment. The first step is to change some parameters on my Gmail account and create an application password because I don't want to use my Gmail main password. And in my Google account, the multi-factor authentication is enabled. So to create an application password, we have to go to the multi-factor authentication settings on the Gmail account that we want to use. And down in this page, there will be the application password section. We will create an application password. Here we will choose another. I will write Postfix as name and click on generate. And this will generate an application password. So this is what I will have to enter in my following Postfix config as password. Of course, this is not the one I will use. I will delete it and generate another one, and I will not show it in the video. No, don't try to have my password. I also want to warn you that if you want to store this password in a place, put it in a very secure place, because this password gives you the same rights as your main password, but it bypasses the multi-factor authentication. So it's not a password to take lightly. So here I am on a Ubuntu server, and Postfix server is already installed on this server. If in your case it is not installed, you can install it with this command. In my case, when I press enter to try to install it, it tells me that it is already installed. There's nothing new to install. The first file to modify to be able to use your Gmail account as the smart host is this file /etc/sasl/sasl_passwt. Of course, this is a new file and it is an empty file. And in this file, I have to enter my authentication information just like this. Enter the host you want as a smart host, followed by colon and the network port. For Gmail, it is 587. Don't forget to put the square bracket around the host address. And then, further, on the same line, put your Gmail username account and the application password that we created a few minutes ago. Of course, I will stop the recording to enter my own information, and I will come back to you after the modification. It won't be long. Once it's done, save and exit the file. Another thing we will do is modify the file permission to be sure that only the owner can edit and open this file. That can be done with the chmod 600 command, followed by the file name. There is also a command to execute to put the password and a special database file for Postfix. So here's the command to do that: sudo postmap and the file that we have created earlier. And now if I list the following directory /etc/postfix/sasl, we see our both file. This one is the file that I created earlier, and this one is the new file generated by the postmap command. So we can see the file permissions are set to read and write only for the owner. And in this case, the root user is the owner and the root is also the group owner. So try to have the same permission for the best security. Before modifying our postfix configuration file, we will make a backup for this config file. So here's the command to copy the file by adding the suffix .bak. This backup will be useful if something goes wrong during the configuration. We will be able to restore the initial configuration, the one before the modification. And now we are ready to edit the file. Use your favorite text editor to open the file. And the first line we must modify is in the TLS parameters section. We need to change the SMTP_TLS_security_level line. Be careful because above that line we have a similar one, but it began with SMTPD. It's the SMTP option one that we need to change. On that line, we have to change main to encrypt. And then we have 4 other lines to add. All this new line will be in the video description. This line are to enable the SMTP authentication. That one is to define the file used for the authentication credential. And further down in this config file, another line needs to be modified, and it is the relay host. So on that line, add the SMTP server address you want to use as smarthost. In my case, it is the Gmail SMTP address. So here is the way to write it. And do not forget the square brackets around the host. I will save and exit the file. For your information, if you use a free Gmail account, all address as the from email address will be converted to your Gmail email address, even if you change the my domain or my origin instruction. After I modify my postfix configuration file, I always do a little check with that tool to make sure that everything is okay and I don't have any syntax error. And yes, this tool didn't see any errors. It's now the time to restart the postfix server. Here's the command to restart it. It is done with the systemctl restart postfix.service command. And now, if everything goes well, we will be able to send an email and I will test it right away. I will use this command to test it. To send an email from your Linux server and command line, use the mail commands. The -s option is to specify the email title, the subject. It will be test2 in this example. And after that, add the email address you want to send the email. When you use the mail command, if you have this error, command mail not found, it is probably because it is not installed. Here is the command to install it on a Ubuntu server. Okay, let's go back to our example. Press enter to execute the command. Now enter the text you want in the email content. In this example, I will write in French, "Hello, this is the text for my email." When you're done, press enter. And now you can write another line if you want. Or when you're done, just press the Ctrl+D keyboard key and the empty line. And it will ask you for the CC address you want for this email. And you can just press enter again if you don't want to add a carbon copy email address. And now it will send the email to this address. I will show you the log file to verify if it is okay. So let's open this file. This is the file containing the email server log, the Postfix logs on a Ubuntu server. If you use another Linux distribution, the email server log can be in another place. And here we see that the email has been delivered. The status for this email is sent. So it has been delivered to the smart host. But of course, I put a non-existing email address, so it will not be really delivered to the destination. And Gmail should tell me that the address doesn't exist. Here we see the email was sent from my username at the host name of my Linux server. But like I said earlier, because I sent it through my free Gmail account, the Gmail server will convert that address to my Gmail address. But if you send it to another server, for example, an Exchange server or a business Gmail account, etc., it's up to you to configure how you want the server to handle this. Now I'm going to do a real test. I'm going to do it on my other screen. You won't see that screen on that video, but I'm going to do exactly the same command as I did some minutes ago. But this time I will enter my real email address. As the text, I'm going to write, "This is a test." I'm going to do Ctrl+D to send the email. So I already received the email. I'm in my Gmail account and I send it to myself. So that's why I see here it was sent from me. I will click on the test email that I sent and I see the email content. Okay, so that's it for this video. I hope it was useful for you and you liked this video. And I wish you a good day. Bye bye.